everybody. I know one of the things that in current day events, one of the things Black people are constantly thinking about or experiencing, whether they know it or not, is medical racism. And I want to read to you a quote about the perception of Black people at the turn of the 20th century. Quote, "The future of the Negro lies more in the research laboratory than in schools. When diseased, he should be registered and forced to take treatment before he offers his diseased mind and body on the altar of academic and professional education." End quote. This is by Thomas Morrell, MD, part of the United States Public Health Service in 1910. Wrote this down. This is in government records. And this has a lot to do with the thinking as they did the Tuskegee experiment, as they took away Black women's uteruses to reduce their ability to procreate, and as they tried to practice eugenics, which is basically being quote unquote well born, comes from the Greek word eugenes. Okay, so this is the kind of thinking that's been going on. So the next time somebody asks you, like, why are y'all still on this? This is why, because we haven't gotten away from it. But the Tuskegee experiment was about syphilis and experimenting on Black people's bodies in Tuskegee, Alabama, Black men specifically, and seeing how syphilis manifested and made them believe that they were getting treated for something that they were not giving them treatment for. They exploited their bodies and they kept getting sicker and sicker. So in the summer of 1973, attorney Fred Gray filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of the men in the study, their wives, children, and families. Mind you, this started in the 1930s. A lot of them were dead by then. It ended a settlement giving more than $9 million to the study participants to be divided among them. As part of this class action suit settlement, the U.S. government promised to provide a range of free services to the survivors of the study, their wives, widows, and children. All living participants became immediately entitled to free medical and burial services. It's the least you could do. All right, these services were provided by the Tuskegee Health Benefit Program, which was and continues to be administered by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and their National Center for HIV, STD, and TB prevention. All right. In February of 1994, the Claude Moore Health Sciences Library in Charlottesville, Virginia, called a symposium that was held, and they entitled it "Doing Bad in the Name of Good?" The Tuskegee Syphilis Study and Its Legacy. Resulting from this gathering was the creation of the Tuskegee Syphilis Study Legacy Committee, which met for the first time on January 18th and January 19th of 1996. The committee had two goals, in brief. All right, to persuade President Clinton to apologize on behalf of the government for the atrocities of the study, to develop a strategy to address the damages of the study to the psyche of African Americans and others about the ethical behavior or the lack thereof of government-led research. All right. On May 16, 1997, a White House ceremony attended by the surviving victims, members of the Legacy Committee, and others representing the medical and research communities, the apology was delivered to the surviving participants of the study and families of the deceased by Bill Clinton, the President of the United States at the time. Mind you, this has been going on since the 1930s, and every single president knew about it. Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon. But Bill Clinton is apologizing in the 90s. And granted, he should have on behalf of the government, but it's because a whole hell of a lot of other people were not taking responsibility for what they knew about. All right, no news accounts ever exposed or identified the scores of white American Medical Association members, which is why they probably excluded Black people for so long, at a 1965 meeting where the Tuskegee Syphilis study was reported upon in great detail. And honestly, that only got exposed because a Polish immigrant who was working there was like, wait a second, y'all been experimenting on these people all the time? And he goes to multiple people to try to expose it, and people refuse to publish it. Yeah, so maybe had it not even been a white person outside of America to go, wait a minute. We don't know if that would have ever even gotten exposed in the way it should have. So the Public Health Service physicians responsible for the study have never been charged or punished. So the next time we jump down the throats of, our family, our friends who are African American and hesitant about the doctor, yeah, we can give them proper advice, so on and so forth. But we also want to be cognizant of these oral histories that have been passed down and quite frankly are very real and very true, that have happened to us over the centuries, and the same people and their descendants are still in charge by and large of these medical services. Just keep that in mind. Look it up. Talk to you soon. Bye.